it's very natural for women to go through guilt pangs. It's very natural. There are many incidents. now we कहाँ से शुरू करूँ
बस अपना favorite instance बता दीजिए.
अरे सभी favorite है. Music going on and I had to come up and change, get out of my angarkha into my lehenga. And as luck would have it, I still am not the kind to let obstacles depress me.
Namaste and hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hattrick Bytes. When we think of Indian classical dance, we think of her. When we think of grace, we think of her. She has made us proud and she is also a padamshri awardee. And today, we are pleased to have her here with us on Hattrick Bytes. Please welcome Shovna Narayan ji. Namaste Shovna ji. It
Namaste.
is a great pleasure to have you with us on Hattrick Bytes.
Thank you.
I would like to really start by asking you that your journey as a dancer is so inspiring for so many people, and in India, dance is literally synonymous with your name. So, I want to know what was your inspiration, and how did you decide you wanted to become a dancer?
Story goes back to when I was 2.5, 3 years old. You see that little lehenga of mine? That was the first time. My mother, like all children, imbued with excessive energy. I think I was no different. So my mother would laugh and say, "Tumhare, मैं क्या करूँ? से मैं इतनी तंग आ गई थी, So that what the hell should I do? So she said, "Nacho." So I've literally and figuratively danced throughout my life. And she took me to Sadhana Bose because my father was posted at that time in Calcutta. So that was where I was born also. And so she took me to Sadhana Bose, who was the very famous dance actress of yesteryears. And Sadhana ji, when she first sighted me, she was a little aghast and she told my mother, "Koler bacha niye escho." मतलब गोद का बच्चा लेकर आई हो. And so, but that child in the arms, suddenly I am told I became quite a hot favorite of hers. She told me herself. I met her later on in 1971 when I went back to Calcutta. And so she said, you had become, because all the other children would run away and you would be standing over there, serious face and saying, "I have to dance more. I'm not budging." So apparently, from that day onwards, I don't know. I mean, I didn't understand it myself, but it was like a fish finding its life. It had found its water. It had found its life. For me, I had found my life, my Atma, my soul. So since then, dance has always been part of my life.
Wow, that is really amazing, and it really shows, I think, the passion and the grace with which you perform is truly amazing and inspiring. And Shovna ji, you've traveled to so many countries, and the western side of the world, what do they think about the Indian classical dance forms, and do they think it's very rudimentary, or do you think it's it's adapting to the changes that is happening in the dance world?
No, in fact, you'll be surprised that they are the ones who actually prefer something original, something which is classical, and not something which is couched in modernistic terms. That is completely different. But if they come to see a classical program, they believe in antiquity, they believe in preservation, they believe in originality. So they want to see something original. It is a different matter. We have the Indian diaspora. It is the Indian diaspora who has another thought process. But if you're talking about the Western world or the the original inhabitants, or let me say whom we think to be part of that world, they are the ones, that means the non-Indian diaspora, they are the ones who actually love the classicality of our performance without dilution. They will come, they will not understand it, but they make the effort to come. The house is packed. And one difference is there, when they buy the tickets, they do their homework because they're interested. That is why they purchase the ticket and they come.
And I think they do their homework better.
They do their homework better.
Yeah.
They want to understand it.
Yes.
So I think it's a wrong notion that, it is completely different, because you have to, when you're talking about performing abroad, you have to now talk in terms of, are you performing for the Indian diaspora or for the non-Indian diaspora? So non-Indian diaspora wants originality, wants the classicality to remain.
Yes, very true. And over the years, because you've been performing everywhere across the world, so do you think dance as Indian classical dance has changed as in terms of the perception of people?
Yes, I would say so, because it's always the external factors which also contribute to building up a perception. And let's take Kathak, for example, my dance form. Now, this is the only community of dancers. No other community of dancers has been mentioned in our ancient epic. Then what is our ancient epic?
True.
The Mahabharata?
Yes.
So, the Mahabharata was not written today or yesterday. It was written God alone knows when.
Yeah.
And in the Adi Parv, in the Anusasana Parv, in the Sabha Parv, you have mention of the Kathak community.
Exactly.
Now, this is the only, and what is it? It's the community which is narrating stories through the medium of gesticulation and mime. In other words, dance.
Yeah.
Kathakascha pare rajan shramnascha vanaukasa divyakyanani echapi pathanti madram dija. But if you have any doubts on it, then there is a 4th century BC, before Christ, the early Mauryan period. You have a Prakrit inscription in the Mithila archives of northern Bihar, where it's saying, Gangaye Mahanadiye Tate Sabbo Kathaka Bhingarnatenam Stuti Tisi Kayam Ehi Raya Adi Naho Bhavenam Pasai. Now, what does it mean? It says Ganga Mahanadi ke tat pe. Now, on the banks of the river Ganges, on the Bhingarnatenam, the graceful dance, Natenam is dance, the graceful dance of the Sabvo Kathaka, of the Kathaks, of all the Kathaks, was doing, what were they doing? Doing dancing in praise, a stuti, that means a devotional dance, a stuti in praise of the Lord, which pleased the Almighty Mahadev himself.
Yeah.
So now this is an inscription, a Prakrit inscription. Now look at the, and particularly I'm saying the word Kathak because the narrative of the which started in the colonial period, the later part of the colonial period, was that it is a debauch and this and that, and there were unfortunate, and then of course, to top it all, our Bollywood has also enhanced that image, the wrong image of Kathak, which is far from the truth of its origin.
Yes.
Completely.
In fact, that's what I was going to ask you next, that Bollywood shows such a different image of Kathak. Yeah. So what is the difference actually?
It is completely different because there it is a devotional dance form which finds its mention not only in the Mahabharata, but there is a Prakrit inscription of before the Christian era, that is of the early Mauryan period. You have all these aspects, and then today how it is being depicted. So, so to begin with, yes. So that is why I said the external perceptions are made by whom?
Yeah.
By a wrong statement. They say a wrong statement 100 times and you'll probably believe it to be correct. But when I'm saying it, I'm giving you proof.
Yes.
You can go and see it. You can read it for yourself. Look up the Mahabharata. Read the Mahabharata yourself and read it.
Yeah.
Go to the archives and see it for yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't know about that either.
Now, there is more articulation since the 60s, I would say, about the actual origin of Kathak. So slowly, it takes time. But slowly, now you also find articles talking about the, but again, the articles are because there is a usual tendency of people to cut and paste, without. So,
yeah. But,
but now, of course, yes, there is a correction in that perception.
Okay.
But
a lot of people don't really know the difference between the various Indian classical dance forms. As you've so nicely explained Kathak to us, can you tell us how is Kathak different from the other Indian classical dance forms? Because a lot of students and a lot of children also who want to start dance, they don't know the true difference between Kathak and the other forms of Indian classical dance.
See, first of all, in content, they're all the same. They're all the same. Origin is the same. All of them, all our Indian classical dances were born out of spirituality. They were born in the religious spheres.
All devotional.
All devotional. All born out of spirituality. Now, those were expressions of elevating yourself, and also that was the ultimate aim and vision of elevating not only your own inner self but also the rasikas, which means the people who are watching you and seeing you. Now, the means. Now we come to the means, connecting the two stages. That is through the legends. You enact out, you dance out legends from the lives of from lives you're drawing values and you're spreading the good values. So those are the lives from our great epics and Purana stories, etc. So now you're doing it. So the content is the same. Now how you do it. And since we are barring one or two whose origin was more in the dance drama format, but the rest of us are solo format. And so in the solo format, if you're dancing and depicting a story out, and I'm a solo artist, I will definitely use hand gestures. I will definitely use facial expressions. I will definitely use body movements. I will use the anga bhav, everything. So in totality, everything is being utilized to narrate a story. A story does not necessarily have one character, one mood. It is several characters. So obviously the hand gestures, with that you keep changing the character. At one moment I could be a dancer and the other moment I could be a gentleman. So it could be, or I could be a child. I could be the maternal love oozing out. So this is again a constant which all classical dance forms are utilizing, all of them, without any exception. And to say that X utilizes and Y does not, no. Each one utilizes it. Now, so now what is the difference? The difference is how you hold the body. You and I have worn a sari. You worn it a little differently. I want it a little differently. I've left my palla like this. You haven't.
Pleated it.
You've pleated it. And but is it different? No. It is. I could do it with a seedha palla. Like my mother used to always wear the seedha palla, because that's the traditional wear of UP, Bihar and Gujarat. And,
absolutely.
So it is a question, particularly waist downwards. How are you holding the body? So if I am in the normal stance, the way human beings are, so it will be like Kathak. Now, if I go into the half sitting position with the knees out, and now that's called the Arai Mandali or the Ardha Mandali, that would become the base for most of our southern dance forms.
Okay.
So now that it has its own impact on its movement, on its tempo,
Okay.
and the geometricity of the movement.
I see.
So now if in Kathakali the feet are spread out, it's half sitting, but the
Yes.
feet are spread out and they move in rectangles and squares.
Yeah.
It has its places, its own restrictions on the movement, etc. So there is a uniqueness about everything.
True.
Yeah, Odissi, we also stand in Tribhangi, but you never notice it.
Yeah.
But there they have made that the hallmark,
Yeah.
that where the body is deflected, so that becomes its hallmark.
Okay.
The Manipuris have made it the hallmark of that graceful movement of moving in S's and 8s.
Yes.
So it is how you're using it, the body waist downwards, which then impacts the horizon of your movement, the geometrical design of the movements and the space covered,
Okay.
as well as it also impacts tempo, the speed at which you are supposed to perform,
Okay.
and therefore the music.
Wow, that's
so
so
everything
beautiful.
is interconnected, and there's a logic behind it.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautifully explained, Shovna ji, and I'm sure a lot of people had doubts of, how they are so different, and you've explained it so beautifully. As you keep traveling, and I'm sure you have really interesting kissas that happen, and there must be so many situations which you love to talk about. So why don't you share some small instances with us?
Oh well, life is full of incidents. Both on
Absolutely.
the professional front and as well as
Personal
on the personal front. Oh God, I'm not young. I'm rather old. I mean, in fact, the other day, one girl was asking, Didi, that was last year when I completed my 70. Didi, how does it feel to be 70 years old? So I started laughing. I said, how does it feel to be a 14-year-old like you? Do you feel any different when you were 12-year-old? She said, no. Then I said, even I don't feel any different from what you are feeling. Except the bones sometimes creak. एक था कि in 73 April, those days we used to have our, there was this costume of ours, we used to wear lehenga and this thing, and we used to have the kalgi over here.
Yeah.
So that was dispensed with later on, because it was too heavy to tie it and all that. I dispensed with it later. But we had in the angarkha, it was used to be a 3-piece suit. Then the outer covering, you button it up, and then of course the churidar and the dupatta. It so happened there were in between items in Theatre Dilyaville. Green room was upstairs and music going on, and I had to come up and change, get out of my angarkha into my lehenga. And as luck would have it, the hook got, I couldn't unhook it, it just won't unhook it. And I was desperate because I had just few minutes to change and go down. I looked around in desperation, is there somebody? And then I saw one young Frenchman. I just called him. I said, please unhook me. I was stunned. He said, what? And so I said, please. And then I said, thank you, go. And then quickly changed and came.
He must be shocked.
I think he was quite shocked. I mean, he didn't expect an Indian girl, a young girl doing that, And so, what to do? Marta kya na karta. So I had to do that. After that, the moment I returned, I went to that Mahesh tailor straight away. I said, Mahesh ji, no more 3-piece. Now you just put this kind of over there, just make it into 2-piece. And
so guys, that's where, where the uniform is changed. The attire, the beautiful dancing attire changed and it turned into a 2-piece. You know the reason why now. एक बहुत मज़ेदार किस्सा शोभना जी ने हमारे साथ शेयर किया, और इस किस्से का सस्पेंस मैं अभी रहने देती हूँ, क्योंकि अजय आपको अगले किस्से के हिस्से के एपिसोड में नरेट करके सुनाएंगे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग किस्सा. शोभना जी, हम सब आपको जानते हैं एज शोभना नारायण एंड अ ग्रेट डांसर, बट कोई आपको पर्सनली एज शोभना जी हम आपको जानना चाहते हैं अब. So would you like to share something about your personal life, so being the wife of an ambassador, you have so many other responsibilities also. So would you like to tell us a little bit about you as a person?
Well, I'm me. Pardon the grammar, but I'm me, I'm myself. I live life on my own terms, in the sense, the only thing which was ingrained into me since childhood was never lose sight of your values. Keep your values and ethics intact. So one has kept that as the mantra throughout my life. And there have been, of course, trying moments, but it's been a beautiful journey, because the journey so far has been very interesting, and I have welcomed all the obstacles, because each obstacle was a learning experience, and I was not the kind, I still am not the kind, to let obstacles depress me. Yes, there are moments of depression, but immediately I shake myself out of it and move forward with renewed energy, vigor. And as a wife of an ambassador, it's nothing different. I would just say that it took I took a long time in saying yes to my husband. Since ours was a long distance courtship and a long distance marriage.
Okay.
In fact, it's only post-retirement that both of us are spending more time with each other. Otherwise, throughout our married life, we only spent 15 days at a time, 4 times a year.
Oh,
maximum 20
God.
days. So 20 into 4, 80 days. 80 days in a year we were together. So that is it. Because I was a working professional. I had my dual career over here. I was a part of the civil services, member of the Indian Audit and Account Service, 1976 batch. So my postings were,
Yes.
took me, was all India based. And I wanted it to be India based because and then I had my dancing career, which was a full-fledged dancing career. I was a full-fledged dancer
Yes,
before I
of course.
entered the service. And my husband was his country's representative, the ambassador in different countries. So he understood it. And so I must say, I give him credit for understanding. He never insisted that I have to follow him around. But yes, I was there for him whenever he needed. There were occasions. So like all the national days, I would make it a point to be there, present with him, beside him, and in the traditional Austrian Dirndl costume,
Yeah.
That way. When he was here, posted to India as ambassador, then again, I would leave the residence and go to work the whole
Yeah.
day. He would tell me, okay, see, today is a very important reception in the evening, etc. I said, do you mind? I have a performance somewhere. So he says, you finish your performance. I said, I might not have the time to change my costume and then remove
true.
the makeup and everything. He says, come like that. I would come like that. So he accepted it, people accepted it, because they saw that I was there beside him when he needed it.
And I think that's what matters.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
So it was, and then we had our son. We have one son, as you can see.
Yeah.
One son who's now married with his own family. And so even I think I must say that both he and my husband have been extremely understanding. But one thing my son said when he was a little 8-year-old, he says, Mom, I said, we all as mothers go through our guilt pangs. Let's face it.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
And I'm no exception. So we all go through our guilt pangs, saying whether we've been a good mother, whether, this and that and all that. So As an 8-year-old, he's reasoning out with me. He says, even if you were here in Vienna with me, I'm studying. I leave home at 7 in the morning. I come back in the afternoon. I'm out, with my extracurricular thing, playing football. He was a great footballer and things like that. And then coming back, studying, and I'm in bed. So he says, how much time would you have spent with me, Ma?
But that's so supportive.
They're so supportive. He
as
says,
an 8-year-old.
He says, when I need you, you drop everything, at the drop of a hat, you're there with me.
Yeah.
When he was very ill once, and he was hospitalized for about 10-15 days. Even though I had so many things, I just cancelled everything. I was there with him, by his side, with him in the hospital, running up and down, So he said, when I need you emotionally and everything, physically, you're there. But I know that you and Papa are always there with me. I think it's the sense of security that the child needs, that his parents are always available to them.
Yes.
So
very true.
I think, so I got a lot of understanding and support from them, and in turn they knew that I was always there for them. So I don't know what else to say, except that I've tried to be absolutely as honest, as transparent in my relationships with my husband and my son.
But as you said, that so many of us go through the guilt pangs as mothers, and a lot of women look at you as an inspiration for balancing your professional and your personal life, So would you like to give us one tip, for those women who actually struggle and go through those guilt pangs in today's time, where everyone is still running out of time?
It's very natural for women to go through guilt pangs. It's very natural. But the persons who want to do something, achieve, and yet maintain a very good, harmonious family life, do it. You have innumerable examples. They do it without compromising on the way the child is brought up. I would like to ask a counter question. Just think of it. If a person, a mother's, so many examples today you have, so many examples of children going haywire. Their mothers only at home.
Yeah.
Their mothers are at home only.
True.
Constantly at home, and yet why have they gone haywire? Why do we have all these unfortunate incidences being reported? Some way, even while being at home, while being available 24 hours, we have actually not done our duty.
Yeah.
That's why you have these unfortunate incidences.
True.
So it is not a question. It is also the quality. What kind of values are you giving with your own behavior, with your own, how you are behaving, how you are conducting your life?
Yeah.
I think the child picks up also the unsaid, the intangible.
Very true. Yeah. Because they are like sponges.
Yeah, they are like sponges. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we should understand that. Yes, as I say, as we are women, we will go through a guilt pang, but then you have so many women who have led very successful professional careers as well as happy personal lives.
Yes. It was a pleasure, Shovna ji, talking to you, and learned so much about Kathak, and it's really amazing to know so much about dance and about Kathak, and it was our pleasure to have you on Hattrick Bytes with us.
Thank you so much indeed, Juhi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So guys, आज का एपिसोड तो was really interesting. मेरे को तो बहुत मज़ा आया शोभना जी से बात करके, and I hope that you all loved hearing our episode. We learned so much about Indian classical dance and about this beautiful craft. So for more insightful inside stories like this, stay tuned on Hattrick Bytes. And don't forget to hear our next Kissa on Kisse ka Hissa, because there's this very interesting Kissa that Shovna ji had shared with us. And you will hear it through Ajay next time. So stay tuned and keep listening. This is Juhi Khanna signing off.